I've been testing out SANDMARC's mobile lenses to see what they can do when paired with an iPhone 15 Pro Max and that 48 megapixel main camera. These let you capture incredible photos and videos, just not possible with the native cameras alone. So let's see what these can do. What's up guys, my name is Jack, I make videos about all things tech. These are the exact same lenses that are used in my 14 Pro Max videos, which I'll link to below if you've missed. Today's video is a bit of a continuation of those. Plus, a brand new lens. This is SANDMARC's new microscope lens with a pretty mind-blowing 40 times magnification. This is like a super macro. The details this can capture are seriously impressive. I've never seen anything like it for mobile photography before. Another benefit of mobile lenses is they let you take full advantage of the main camera on the iPhone, which has the best low light performance with the biggest aperture, and on the 14 Pros and all the new 15s, 4 times the resolution at 48 megapixels for capturing even more detail in your macro shots or wides when using these lenses. This is not a sponsored video, but SANDMARC did send me this gear for free to test out, and there will be links to everything in the description, and those links will get you 10% off your entire order. Now, if you are thinking of getting a couple of lenses, you might want to grab the travel pouch as well to keep them all together. I managed to squeeze 7 lenses in, but you might want to leave a couple out so you can have some room for filters, which I will also show you later. It has detachable dividers so you can alter the layout, and a nice thick grey canvas exterior with weatherproof zippers if you get caught out in the rain. Plus it comes with a shoulder strap so you can wear it like a bag, a good way to have fast access to the lenses when shooting. The 2 macros, the microscope and the telephoto, zoom in to get you closer to a subject. And the wide fisheye and the anamorphic zoom out to fit more into the frame. To attach the lenses, this is their full grain leather case in the sand colour. It covers all of the buttons and sides, including the action button on the 15 Pros. It's MagSafe compatible with mount points over the main and tele cameras, but as we've seen before with other lenses, they don't really work with the new 5X. The macro gets you right up close when shooting. The 10 times magnification is just as impressive as ever. It lets you capture an insane amount of texture and detail. These are just a few shots that I've taken here around the studio. You can see all of the wood grain textures, the threads in this braided cable. Check these out. This is the new DJI Mic 2. It has this translucent casing, and I love this macro shot, looking through to all of the chips and circuits. With a 14 Pro or any 15, you can make full use of the 48 megapixel sensor to capture way more detail than you can with the built-in macro mode, which crops into the 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera. You can see the difference here side by side. The SANDMARC lens just gives you so much more clarity. And because of that big sensor, you get this really nice shallow depth of field that just removes some of the distractions and makes the subject stand out from the background. With the macro, you have a 10 to 25 millimeter focus distance. You have to get pretty close to the subject just to get it in focus. But with the long range macro, you have a 53 millimeter minimum focus distance. So you can have a bit more space between you and the subject when shooting. But now with a wider frame, so you can have a bit more context in the photo as well. Here's both of the macros side by side for some comparison, and here's the long range macro versus the iPhone's macro mode. The bokeh blur just looks gorgeous. It almost feels like you're shooting with like a mirrorless camera and a prime lens or something. Also, if you're wanting to shoot tiny insects or, pets, you might find it easier to use the long range macro with that extra focus distance. Check out Lola here, just posing for some shots. It's hard to believe that these were actually shot on a phone, but I love the results. Next up, this is SANDMARC's newest lens, their 40 times microscope, and this just takes macro photography to a whole new level. All of their lenses come with a zip bag, a carry pouch with a lens clip for mounting if you don't want to use a case, but you really should for the best alignment, and a carabiner clip. This lens also comes with a USB-C cable, which caught me off guard at first, and then I saw the USB-C port on the lens, which actually just confused me even more. Well, it turns out the microscope lens has a built-in ring light. When shooting with it, you need to get as close as possible to the subject, essentially covering it entirely. So you need that light for the camera to actually be able to see anything. And magnification here is seriously impressive. You can see all of the individual threads in my desk mat, the tiny holes in this pencil eraser, even the grooves and lines in the graphite tip. This is so far beyond what you can normally capture with your iPhone cameras. With such a high level of magnification, you are going to need a steady hand. Any slight movement can just throw you off, or you will end up with a blurry photo. With this and the macros, I'd recommend also shooting in a third-party camera app like Halide, as this lets you manually control the focus with a slider. You can turn on focus peaking as well, so you can really nail the sharpness of your shots. The 58mm telephoto gives you about a 2x zoom factor on the main camera, getting you closer to subjects in the distance. When I've been using it, I like to look for shapes and textures in buildings. It's great for architectural photography. You can find some really nice compositions just looking up when you're out and about. But I will say that it does look a little bit soft compared to when I used it on my 14 Pro Max. Apple did tweak the camera slightly with this newer generation, which is probably why. And it's not the first mobile telephoto that doesn't look as sharp on this newer phone. I've seen the same with ShiftCam's Tele as well. To be honest, if you've got a Pro 15, then you might not feel that you actually need this lens. There's already the 2x crop option, the 3x tele camera on the 15 Pro, and the 5x on the 15 Pro Max, which I have found myself using a lot because, it's just convenient and it's there and it's a great focal length for those distant subjects. But this lens would come in way more useful if you've got a phone that doesn't have a built-in tele. Next up, we have the lenses for zooming out, and we'll start with the 16mm wide. This sits nicely between the main camera and the ultra wide, which sometimes can just be a little bit too wide. And by switching to the ultra wide, you're not going to get as good performance in lower light. Again, you're dropping down in resolution to 12 megapixels. The SANDMARC wide still looks incredibly sharp on the 15 Pro Max, and you can crop into those 48 megapixels and reframe as needed and still be left with a very crispy image. It's a very dramatic lens. You can use it for some striking compositions, bringing more into the scene. You can use that wider field of view to play with perspective to make something look further away or bigger and taller by shooting upwards. It's great for cityscapes with towering buildings and for capturing those sweeping vista shots out in the countryside. Plus, you can use it to get surprisingly close to a subject, not quite macro level, but still very close. And in doing so, you get this beautiful bokeh blur in the background. If you want an even wider shot, then this is the 210-degree fisheye. It has a super wide angle, even wider than the ultra wide, kind of mimicking the action cam GoPro look. This captures basically everything in front of your phone, even your fingers if you're not careful, so do be mindful of that. But that means that you're never going to miss the action, especially when shooting video. You can just vaguely aim in the right direction and you should be fine. Lenses like this naturally have a lot of distortion, which might not be for everyone, but it is fun to shoot with. You can find lots of these new and different angles to capture a subject with an unusual perspective that you wouldn't normally be able to do. That said, because it's so wide, it is a little soft towards the edges, and there is some slight vignetting in the corners in stills, so just be aware of that. But a fun one to experiment with and shoot in new ways. Which brings us to the two Anamorphics, the 1.33 and the 1.55. Instead of spherical glass, these use cylindrical lens elements to squeeze a wider image onto the camera sensor for a cinematic widescreen look. These bring a whole new look to your iPhone video. I've always loved their stylized feel, and it's pretty cool being able to emulate that filmic look on a phone. These also have the effect of bending any straight lines in the scene, plus you get these flashy horizontal lens flares from any bright lights in the frame. They can basically make anything look cinematic, and they're a great way to give your footage more of a unique look that stands out from the crowd. For comparison, here is some standard 16:9 iPhone video. This is with the 1.33 mounted, which is my favorite to shoot with, and this is the 1.55 for anyone wanting an even wider aspect ratio. Now, to save yourself the trouble of having to de-squeeze the footage in post, I would highly recommend that you download the free Blackmagic camera app. I'll link to it below. This has some built-in anamorphic settings, which you can select in the camera settings, that de-squeezes both what you see in the live view and the video files when they're saved. The anamorphics are my favorite mobile lenses for video. They just add a whole new way to shoot that isn't possible with the native cameras alone. But I would like to see SANDMARC add some gold flare versions of these to the collection as well, as these would give a more neutral look to the lens flares. SANDMARC also sent me a few of their filters, their motion variable ND filter and their hybrid ND PL filters. To use these, you will also need to pick up a step-up ring. This adapter lets you mount the filters to the SANDMARC case. The variable ND comes with a storage pouch, and this filter acts a bit like a pair of sunglasses. When mounted, it reduces the amount of light passing through to the sensor, allowing you to shoot at slower shutter speeds. This gives you a more natural look to the motion blur in your footage and just makes it look a lot less like phone video, which can get pretty choppy even on an overcast day like here. Ideally, you want your shutter speed to be double your frame rate for video. It's variable from ND8 to ND64. You can twist it to increase its strength to reduce the light transmission by 3 to 6 stops. With the hybrid filters, you actually get a set of 3 filters. You get a pouch to keep them all together, and these combine ND filters with polarizing filters. These work as before, but instead they are fixed NDs at ND16, 32 and 64. You want to use these on cloudy, mouldy, and sunny days to match the brightness of the weather conditions. But these have an added polarizer, so when you twist and rotate the filter, you can reduce the glare and reflections from certain angles. It's kind of magic. You can use them to remove the glare from glass and water, or use them to enhance the blues in the sky and really make it pop. If you're completely new to filters, I'd recommend going for the variable ND first, just so you can get to grips with it. I did a video all about NDs quite a while ago, and I will link to it up here if you want to check it out. If you want to use any of these on the lenses, well, they only fit the wide and the 1.55 anamorphic. In the descriptions, it says that they work with the Telephoto as well, but that just has not been the case for me, at least with the ones that I have, so I'm not sure if that's a mistake or if they're in the process of tweaking the designs. If you're into your mobile photography and you want to expand your toolset when shooting, then SANDMARC lenses bring a whole new way to shoot on the go and take advantage of that big main camera sensor and all of that extra resolution. I love the macros. They let you capture whole new levels of detail and texture. The microscope takes it even further with an insane 40 times magnification. The wide and fisheye let you capture even more of a scene, widening the frame for a dramatic look. And I love the anamorphics. The widescreen aspect ratio and lens flares give your footage a cinematic standout look. Links to everything are down below, and those links will get you 10% off your whole order at the checkout. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and let me know your favorite lens in the comments below. And also check out my last video on my desk setup, which is probably one of these, if you want to see more about what's behind me. Get subscribed and hit the bell if you want to see more tech videos from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.